Welcome, welcome, welcome. November 5th, 7:48 p.m. This is Dan Kinlan, the Red Ronas, Men of Honor podcast. This week we do have a guest, Mr. Smooth, former 2016 champ. It's Mason Horn, owner of Won't Let You Down, Miss Jackson. What's up, Mace?
Nothing much, Dan. How you doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm glad you could join up. I know it's been, some people picking up the slack. I know Blaze was able to do that. Big Cat was as well. Apologies that sometimes the schedule for me doesn't always work out, but I'm glad yours did this week.
Yeah, definitely. I'm happy to be here and excited to join the pod this week.
Yeah, man, we got, it is Thursday, and tonight is Thursday night football. It's the Packers and the Niners. We'll probably get into that game a little bit later, but just real quick, who do you think is going to win? Game's about half an hour from now.
I definitely would take the Packers in this game. I don't think it's going to be very close.
I don't think so either, especially with, some of the COVID shit going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at that. A minute and 29 seconds in, and we've already said her name, COVID. But, the other NFL talk, man, before we jump into some of the fantasy stuff, we're a number of weeks in here, a little bit more than halfway, or about halfway. Who do you think is the MVP? Who would get your vote if you had one?
I think it's pretty close right now between Mahomes and Russ. I would definitely say Russ probably has the edge, simply because, Mahomes, he probably has a lot better weapons on his team. His defense is playing really well right now, and I think it's time for Russ to finally get a little bit more acknowledgement and appreciation. So I'm gonna have to go with Russ for now.
Yeah, man, Russ has got 26 touchdowns, 2,100 yards, only 6 picks. I mean, he might get to 50 touchdowns this year.
Yeah, no, he's definitely been doing some pretty crazy things this year, and must be nice to have him on your fantasy team if you were Barry.
I was about to say, Barry's been texting me, dude, I don't know, with Russ, my ceiling, I don't know. I don't think I got a roof. So I don't know. We'll see what happens if they get up big. I don't in terms of the division, they probably won't sit him or anything like that, especially if he's close to the MVP. He's never gotten one before. But
yeah, I would doubt they would do that. Pete Carroll doesn't seem like he's a coach who would totally sit for a full game. So I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I hope not. Well, turn to our fantasy league. I see you in 4th place right now, but I did some math, and I used a calculator. I usually don't do very well besides 2 + 2 or dividing by 3, but you currently have the 9th most points despite being in 4th place. Now, you're no Tom, who has 696 points scored, but what's this nonsense you're brewing? What's this witchcraft that you don't tell us about? What's going on here? 9th most points, 4th place in the league.
I think the biggest thing is just trying to be consistent every week. I haven't had many weeks where I was really below, I don't think, 80 points or so. So I think that's been able to help me out a little bit. I think my team is pretty consistent. I really don't have too many studs, I would say. I mean, other than Alvin Kamara, and Lamar has been a little bit of a disappointment for me so far. But I think overall, I have a pretty balanced team, and sometimes you'll get those weeks where teams don't play too well against you, and as long as you're keeping it average, you tend to win those matchups. So it's a give and take in fantasy football. There's some luck involved, and some good management moves, I would say.
That's fair. That's fair. And I think that I just said that Tom, who's currently in third place, one ahead of you, had scored a total of 696 points. What I meant to say was that he's only had 696 points against. So I'll clear that up. I'll clear that up right there. Yeah, points for, points against, it tends to end up pretty even towards the end. So, sometimes you're Dan McHale and you're in the playoff race with under 800 points. But, it is what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Just a public service announcement. We got a little bit more than 2 weeks from today is the trade deadline. That's November 21st. That's usually the week that Marvin's got to charge his phone more than he usually does. I'm sure people are going to be hitting him up a lot. I'm sure the trades may heat up. They may not. We'll see. But we'll move to your thoughts here on the standings. For those that don't have it in front of them, there's 1 7-1 team. There are 4 5-3 teams. There are 3 4-4 teams. And there are 5 3-5 teams, which, yes, you're correct. I didn't include everyone. In last place currently is a 2-6 team, Jake from State Farm. But your thoughts, Mace. Usually 7 wins get you in the playoffs. What do you think of the current standings?
Yeah, definitely. Just looking at the standings, I'm not so surprised at any of the teams that are at the top. Other than Big Cat's team, I definitely had a feeling that every other team was going to be kind of in this type of contention, except for Jazz. I thought his team would be a little bit better. He definitely has had some bad luck with injuries. Michael Thomas basically being out until possibly this week. It's kind of crazy that, Antonio Brown is going to play a game at the same time Michael Thomas will this season. I don't think anyone would have seen that coming. But yeah, I think, it's pretty balanced, which is good to see. And Justin in first, I definitely think, his team deserves to be in first. I think overall his team is one of the best. With DK Metcalf, probably one of the best receivers right now. Obviously, Derrick Henry. And, he's got Chris Godwin. Josh Allen's been a little bit disappointing, which I think will continue. I don't think he's going to have as good of a season as he did in the beginning of the year. But we'll see. I like your brother's team a lot, too. So we'll see.
Yeah,
never count Tom out either with Pat Mahomes.
You can't. And, this week will, probably the next 2 weeks will really kind of stretch the standings out. But for those, that don't know, we're currently in week 9, 13 weeks in the season. So currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks left, including this week. So, that playoffs, those standings will certainly iron themselves out. Jed really got hit too with Nick Chubb being out. The Miles Sanders thing, he traded for him, so that one's on him. But regardless, it should be a interesting couple of weeks here. So
for sure.
Brings us to the part of the podcast where I like to play trivia. So I'm gonna put you on the block, and everybody playing at home, we're gonna do that too. This week's trivia is quarterbacks. And Mace, what I need you to do is I needed you, based on our standings, to give me 7 of the top 10 quarterbacks. I don't need all 10. I just want to see if you can give me 7 of the top 10. All right. So I'll give you 10 guesses to get 7. So why don't you go ahead?
All right. Boy, this one could be a bit of an easier one.
Oh, all right. If those playing at home, you want to pause it? Somebody's next to you. This is where you take a bet. See if Mason has the knowledge.
So So in no particular order.
In no
right?
particular order. You got to get 7 out of 10 for 10 guesses.
Okay, so you definitely have Russ.
Got Russ.
Yeah, Mahomes.
Got Mahomes.
I would say Justin Herbert.
Justin Herbert's in there, number 9.
Let's see. I would say Josh Allen.
Josh Allen is in there. You're doing well. 4 for 4.
Ryan Tannehill.
Ryan Tannehill's in there. Let's make it 5 for 5.
Trying to think about all the teams. What about, is Dak still in there?
Dak is not in there. He fell out, but he was in there for a while. So that's your first negative. So you got you got some more guesses here.
Why don't we go with Lamar?
Lamar is not in there, believe it or not. So that's 2 strikes, man. You're up against the wall.
Okay. You need 2 more.
You need 2 more. See, I love this when I put you guys on the spot. Hopefully you're not, bringing up the stats, but this is sometimes my favorite part of my podcast here.
No, definitely not. Thinking about receivers who are doing good. What about Big Ben?
We do not have Big Ben in there. So that's 3 strikes, man. You're out. Let me run down from 1 to 10, all right, based on our league standings. Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes, Kyler Murray, which shocked me you didn't get.
Yeah, I don't know how I didn't get that one.
Tom Brady, Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, Ryan Tannehill, Deshaun Watson at 8, Justin Herbert is 9, and believe it or not, Carson Wentz is at 10.
I was going to throw him in there, but after that really bad game he had for me, I thought he worked his way out.
Well, Dak is still at 12, despite the fact that he only played 5 games. So speaks to how well he was playing.
Yeah, he was definitely a beast when he was on the field.
He really was. So you did pretty good. Actually, let's see if those people at home, did as well. Hit us up on the group chat here. Quick Survivor update. I know it hasn't happened in a few weeks, but there's still 4 out of 4 people advanced. So Justin, Tom, Marvin, and Drew still remain. 2 of you took Kansas City last week. 2 of you took the Bucs last week. So that was a little bit of a nail biter, which it shouldn't have been. Your guys are lucky you don't play by spread. But just real quick, Mace, out of those 4, Justin, Tom, Marvin, and Drew, who do you think is going to win?
I mean, Survivor is really a toss-up.
It is.
It's hard for me to say, but I'm gonna give it to Tom.
Wow, picking against family. All right, I love it. I love it. Good for you, Tom. Making it past week 5. Let's see if he makes it to week 10.
I hope I didn't jinx him.
He's swearing at you right now. This is the time for the Mason Horn topic. Talk about anything you want. This is kind of the floor is yours. Make it 1 minute, make it 5 minutes. Whatever game you love, betting lines, group chat. You want to make fun of somebody, man? This is your time. Let's go.
Sure. So the thing that I'm most excited about for next year is definitely the FAB. So that's something that, the waiver wire that I feel like has always been a little bit unfair, and it kind of gives certain people an advantage every year, people waking up at like whatever 3:30 a.m. to pick players up that weren't wavered. I feel like I've always had a problem with that, just because people have jobs and they don't want to be waking up at that time just to like pick players up. So I think I'm very excited for the Fab.
Yeah, it's more strategic, right?
Way more strategic, and I think it's gonna bring a much needed element of differentiation with these waiver wire pickups, especially in our league where we have so many players that we play, and we have that extra bench spot and 2 IR spots. So our waiver wire is pretty dry for the most part. So I'm definitely really excited about that. I think it's gonna help our league out definitely a lot, and I'm interested to see some people definitely waste a lot of their Fab budget, early on, and see what people kind of are stuck with only a little bit of Fab before the end of the season.
When you say some people, do you have 1 or 2 people in mind? You wanna throw some shade out there?
Well, I mean, one person that I'm probably thinking about is T-Mac. I feel like he's one that would throw a lot of his Fab out early on. Someone I think will be kind of strategic with it. Definitely my brother Tom. I think will be pretty strategic with it as well.
Don't try to rehabilitate the fact that you put Marvin under the bus with Survivor. Don't give him this.
No, I definitely think my brother is one of the people who definitely is someone who will set his alarm and wake up to get those free agents that weren't wavered, and I think Justin is as well. So
okay,
we'll see. We'll see if that affects their teams for next year. But that's definitely something I'm excited about.
One question I have for you on the Fab. I think it's already been decided, but what do you think about us? I think it's $250. What do you think about that? Do you think that's too much? Do you think that's just right? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, honestly, everything is like scalar quantities, so everyone's gonna have the same amount.
Yeah, true.
So at the end of the day, I don't think that really matters.
Gotcha.
But I think it's cool because we do put that's our buy-in, so it makes sense to have it at that amount.
Fair point.
I do think there should be a minimum Fab pickup. Like it should be, you have to at least spend $1.
Yeah, that's going to certainly be a point of contention. A lot of people are really like $0 bets. Some people just like what you said. Just you got to have $1 left. I think that's probably going to be something we're going to be, pretty heated. That'll probably be the number one thing talk about at the draft next year. But I'm kind of reserving. I think I'm more of the 0, but I'm not sold either way just yet.
Yeah, I definitely I listen to some other like fantasy football podcasts, and they're always talking about the number one waiver wire pickups this week. And in our league, it's always like, oh well, he's already been on a team for X amount of time. So that's something else I think about too, like our rosters. Obviously, I know we like to have more scoring, but at the same time, maybe we have too many people playing.
Fair point. Well, that was the Mason Horn topic of the week. And, we've tried to share a number of crazy memories from fantasy football, just like poker or any other gambling. Usually the bad beats tend to stick out. Do you have a favorite crazy memory, Mace? I never really asked you when we were texting this week.
I definitely do. I don't remember the exact Um, I don't remember the exact year. I was trying to look back to see if I could find it somehow, but I didn't find any way to look back. But I'm pretty sure there was a season where I started out I think it was 0-5, and I went on a pretty good run to get back into playoff contention. And I think through the last 7 games of the season, there was one loss that I had to Jet, and I believe the other loss that I had was to your brother, and it ended up being a loss by 0.5 points or something like that.
Yikes.
And the reason that I lost was Justin Tucker missed an extra point.
Oh, my God.
Yes. So Justin Tucker, possibly the best kicker in the league. And if I would have won that week, I would have made it into the playoffs that year.
Just wasn't meant to be, man.
Wasn't in the cards that time.
All right. Well, guys, always, try to think of some of that stuff. Over the years, some of those memories stick with everybody, and that's over the years, this what this league is about. Going back, talking about crazy memories, especially at the draft and stuff like that.
Yeah. One of my other favorite memories, real quick,
is get after it.
When Tom drafted Trent Richardson second overall. That's definitely one of my favorite memories.
Well, at some point, Marvin's got to put together some of the worst draft picks in the first 2 or 3 rounds or something. But that would be fun to see. Do you think Trent makes it for Tom?
Definitely.
Okay.
Tom's definitely had some questionable first round picks. But
well, this is a tough podcast for Tom. That's the third curveball for a strike you've thrown on him in the last 24 minutes. So, Tom, apologies, man. Don't look at me. This is all Mace. So if you listen to this,
I think Tom got it together this year. He definitely has a good team. So.
All right, he's trying to rehabilitate. All right, I hear you. Well, time for the matchups, my man. We're looking at first Jake from State Farm versus Gronk. Love 2 girls, 1 cup. I kind of peeked this one a little bit more than the others just because it's the first, but I'm going to let you start off. So take us where you want.
Yeah, I'll start out with Jake from State Farm, Steve's team. Currently in last place.
Yeah.
So it looks like he's got a little growing pains coming into the league. I think he's had a couple of injuries as well this year.
Yeah, he really has, especially this past week. Huh?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just kind of looking at his quarterback. He's got Cam versus the Jets, which is the Monday night game, which is, I don't even know how they can keep that as the Monday night game, but it's pretty crazy. I think ultimately, with A.J. Brown being questionable, he didn't practice today. He's still got Mark Ingram, who's probably not going to play this week. Zeke really struggling and playing against Pittsburgh. He's just got a lot of tough matchups. And, T-Mac has some pretty good matchups with Deshaun Watson going against Jacksonville, Terry McLaurin against the Giants, Dalvin Cook against Detroit. So I would have to say this is probably going to be a pretty big blowout for T-Mac.
Yeah, this is a runaway train, quite honestly. Currently, T-Mac is at 109. Steve's team is at 93. 16-point or so spread. That injury we were talking about that Steve's team suffered was George Kittle. Was probably his only bright spot here to claw his way out from the I don't know, potential Sacco. That's really quite up in the air. But he's got the Gus Bus to take over for Ingram. But T-Mac's team right now, Dalvin Cook is about as hot as can be, and if Gronk keeps getting these dumbass touchdowns, but this would be a hell of an upset because T-Mac's also got the New England defense against the Jets. So I'm taking T-Mac. I didn't really think we were going to spend too much time on this one.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I'm taking T-Mac as well.
All right. Well, next matchup we have is the number one team in the league right now, Justin's Assemble, against CD's Nuts. Very big spread here, too. Justin, currently 117, LJ at 88. So, and you know what? As I'm kind of looking at it, I thought that there might be an issue with buys or people not putting anybody in, but that's just not the case. What the case is the fact that everybody on Justin's team is pretty fucking awesome. Josh Allen and the Bills expect a shootout with the Seahawks, and Derrick Henry is just incredible. He's been killing it the last couple of weeks, especially that Week 6 game where he scored 37.5 points, 212 yards. So he's certainly playing very well. 8 touchdowns in 8 weeks for him. David Montgomery has played a lot better than I thought he might. He's been extremely consistent despite not getting a lot of rushing touchdowns. What's the thought on Godwin? Do you know anything about him? I guess he was a full participant in Wednesday's practice. Is he going to play? Do you have a line on that?
I really don't. I know the practice on Wednesday was just a walkthrough, okay. So I mean there wasn't any contact or anything like that. I really don't think they're gonna know until
game time.
He gets in a full practice and if he can actually still catch with his finger, being wrapped up and so I think that's going to be more of a wait and see.
Yeah. Well, on the other side, one of the reasons for such a low point total for CD's Nuts is Kenyon Drake is going to be out this week. He is, all points signed to him or point to him actually being out. I don't expect him to start, which means that he's going to have to get a big lift from I have no idea who. Drew Lock starting at quarterback. I understand why you're doing it, LJ, with the fact that they're playing the Falcons, but someone here is going to have to score a lot of points that is not expected to for him to get this victory. Do you see any signs of hope for him?
The only sign of hope that I'm really seeing is, like you said, Drew Lock is playing Atlanta. He did have a good week last week, but that was really his only good week of the whole entire season. He does have Stephon Diggs, and Justin has Josh Allen, so that's kind of a little bit offsetting for them. And DeAndre Hopkins he could go off at any time. One person that I like on LJ's team this week is actually Nyheim Hines against Baltimore. I think they're going to be down a lot. So he's going to be in for pass catching reasons. So he got 2 touchdowns last week. So we'll see if he can create some magic this week. But it's going to be very tough for LJ to get a win this week.
In that Colts game, what's more likely? Nyheim Hines gets 90. Well, let's put it this way: Nyheim Hines gets 105 yards total, rushing and receiving, or Phillip Rivers gets knocked out of the game.
I would say probably. I would probably say the Nyheim Hines yardage. Phillip Rivers is a bit of an Iron Man. Well, really closing in on Eli's streak.
Oh, stop it. But I'll never make a bet on an injury, but something to think about, man. I'm taking Justin.
Yeah, I'm going to take Justin as well, but closer than it than it is on the spread.
Okay. Next matchup, I find to be probably the matchup of the week. Barry's Mr. Jones Freak versus Big Cat's Yahtzee. Barry's at 117, Big Cat's at 106. I say matchup of the week because they're both 5-3, both very solid teams. Lot to talk about here. A lot of points on the board. Why don't you go first? My only question: do you think the point totals are too high?
I don't think the point totals are too high. I think Buffalo's defense has actually been surprisingly giving up a lot of points to running backs and quarterbacks. So I think that projection for Russell Wilson could be pretty accurate. The only thing is, Russell Wilson, he has a history of not playing as well on the road. So that's the one thing that would worry me about him this week.
Well, 66 degrees it's supposed to be in Buffalo that day, so he might be all right.
Yeah, possibly. But, no, I really like Barry's team. I think he does have one of the best teams. Tyreek Hill's been solid all season. I really like Corey Davis. I tried to waiver him that week that Barry did as well. Tyreek Hill's playing against Carolina, who's also really bad on defense. But, again, Big Cat does have Tyler Lockett, and Barry has Russell Wilson. So that's kind of offsetting for them. If Tyler Lockett happens to score 3 touchdowns. We'll see what happens with Devontae Adams, because he's had 3 touchdowns the last 2 games. You would think they would just double cover him and not cover anyone else, but I don't know
tough to
what
say.
these defenses are doing. But yeah, I do think this is going to be really close. I think it's going to come down to Ben Roethlisberger. If he has a big day against Dallas, then I think Big Cat will take it. But Ben Roethlisberger hasn't been playing that well recently, so I know Dallas is really bad, but we'll just have to wait and see how that game goes.
Yeah, I'm worried about Big Cat's his flexes. He's got Josh Kelly, who's not the main back, currently at projected at 6.8 points. I think that's extremely high. Also, the fact that Big Ben, if he does get pressured, remember Barry has James Conner, and if for some reason Barry is able to eat into some of those Big Ben points, he could do that. The one concern I have for Barry's team, though, on the flip side, is Todd Gurley has been a man among children. The guy has played extremely well. That Atlanta team, I think, maybe actually finally gets a win. But I think he's had, maybe 8 touchdowns this year, I believe. So actually think he should play pretty well.
That.
Yeah, 8 rushing touchdowns, I know. But it's going to be tight. Unlike you, I'm not going against family on this podcast, my man. I'm going to take Barry for the win at 6-3, but I think both these teams are playoff teams. I see them matching up again in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm going to take Big Cat.
Oh, all right. Our first disagreement of the night. All right, I see you. Next one we have here is Maurice in a fleece. William Fred taking on Drop Jed Gorgeous. Jed sitting at a 3-5 and just probably disappointed with himself. But currently, Jed's up by 4 points. But keep in mind that the Maurice in a fleece, just like saying it, doesn't have their second flex in, and currently everyone on their bench is a 0. There's some IRs, there's some COVID, so he's gonna they are gonna make a move at some point. But I'll start off with the tandem there, and right now I think that Edmonds is the key for them. Coming off the bye, he should be pretty rested, especially with the fact, as I mentioned earlier, the fact that Kenyon Drake is out. I think that 13 points, 12 points, it's a pretty fair estimate. The wide receivers on this team are studs. Although I believe T.Y. Hilton may have been injured last week. I think it's a groin injury, so it won't shock me if he doesn't play. He did not practice today, so expect him to be out, which means that Willie and Freddie are going to have to find two spots to fill here with, again, everyone on bye and a lot of IRs and COVIDs. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do the next few days or Sunday morning. One of the top 10 quarterbacks, as you got, was Tannehill. He should be okay, but I think a lot of holes this week for them. I think it's just one of the weeks where they're just not looking so great, especially with the fact that Jed finally has Michael Thomas back, my man.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think it's definitely going to be a tough week for Willie and Freddie, and I think overall their team is trending a little bit downwards. With Clyde sharing touches with Led now, Mark Andrews hasn't been playing as well as he was last year. I think partly because of Lamar struggling. Mike Evans this week, he's going to be sharing a lot of targets with some other receivers, which I'm sure we'll get into later.
That we will.
So yeah, I think looking at Jets team, I really like Kyler Murray. I think Robbie Anderson's going to have a pretty good week, and getting Mike Thomas back is definitely big for him.
Yeah.
I think where he's lacking a lot is his running backs.
Yeah, Mike Davis is going to suffer this week because CMC is going to be back, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, well, I'm taking Jed in this matchup.
I am also taking Jed.
There we go. Moving it right along. Next matchup is the big Waller brand, Kamish. What's up, Marvin? Taking on my homelander, Full-Prez, Tom. Currently a pretty close spread, 6 points in Tom's favor, but again, Marvin doesn't have a kicker. Mace, why don't you start with this one?
All right, so I actually think this was like the matchup of the week.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, I think this week is really big for my brother. I think he really needs to get a win here to keep his playoff kind of hopes, not playoff hopes alive, but I think if he wants to be at the top of the playoffs, he's got to win this week. And if Tom wins this week, I think he's got a pretty smooth sailing into the playoffs after this week. So
quite the assessment.
I think this is probably the matchup of the week for me. You got Aaron Rodgers playing on a short week, playing tonight. I'm sure the game probably just started.
I was about to say, Aaron Rodgers is currently 2 for 2 for 20 yards right now. They are marching down the field. So.
Nice. I think it's really going to come down to this Thursday night game. I think my brother's team is carried by the Aarons. He got Aaron Jones back, which I'm sure he's happy about. So if they, can put up 50 points combined, I think, my brother has a really good chance of winning. The problem is with Patrick Mahomes playing Carolina, he could put up 40 points on his own. So I'll let you go through Tom's team.
Yeah, I don't think this is close. And I know when Marvin, loves my pick here, but I'm picking against him. And I think Rodgers and Aaron Jones, they're going to have to put up 50 points at least together. And they might be able to, considering the fact that San Fran's got a lot of COVID that hit them. But remember the fact that Tom's got Justin Jackson this week, and he's the starter, and he's going to be the bell cow. Latavius Murray's always got his solid, 6 to 9 points, which should be good. Also the fact Tom's got to do something about the Buffalo defense. He needs to drop them. I don't know why he still got them in there. That Seattle Buffalo game, I think, is going to be an absolute shootout. But Patrick Mahomes is going to go off. I think this is one of those games where he carries him to a victory. The only thing that may go wrong is if for some reason all three of his receivers or 2 out of 3 of his receivers, have a real dud, which again is Thielen, Brown, and Allen Robinson the second. But I think he's fine. And if for some odd reason everybody's covered at the goal line in the red zone, Eric Ebron for the Steelers gets a touchdown against Dallas, which is possible. If Ebron gets a touchdown, this is over. I think it's a little overwhelming, and I don't mean to be so crass about it. I just don't like what Marvin's putting out there, especially with Deontay Johnson for his wide receiver slot being hurt the last 3 weeks. I'm taking Tom.
All right, I'm gonna take my brother. I actually think Deontay Johnson could have a really good game, and I think Shenault is definitely gonna have above 10 points this week.
Okay. All right. Agree to disagree as we do. Next matchup, we have Big Dick Brady. Again, every time I say it, I have questions. I've yet to get answers. Taking on Blaze, Real Mosterts. Currently, again, a very close matchup. They're both 3-5. Currently sitting at 13th for Drew and 11th for Chris. And I think that I might as well start off with Drew's team. And Julio Jones is the one that I want to highlight, and I'm upset by it only because we'll kind of get into it again with the next matchup. But it looks like Calvin Ridley's hurt, and that looks to me as though Julio Jones could be quite the monster for this matchup, and he has to be because everybody else seems to be a second or third banana on their own respective teams. And I don't see anybody really blowing up here. So currently at 98.5 points, everyone has to hit what Yahoo thinks that they are going to hit in order for him to do well. And, like we said before, that Carolina KC game should be good. So Travis Kelce should be fine. But again, Drew's got the double tight end stack going. But, I'm not super confident in his team. But he doesn't have many options on the bench as well, and it's got to be, they've all got to hit their strides, and I don't know if they will. But what do you think about Blaze's team?
So I don't really like Blaze's matchups this week. He's got a couple of the San Fran players playing tonight. And I can't see them really doing much of anything, with all the injuries that they have, and playing against a Green Bay team who is definitely going to be a playoff contender, and they were a little bit embarrassed against Minnesota. I don't know if that was last week, but I think, they're going to start to turn up their intensity. And I do like Tom Brady against New Orleans. I think he's going to be amped up for that game, playing against Drew Brees. And they're going to be kind of battling for the touchdown lead back and forth.
Is that the old white man game?
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, so you don't like JaMycal? What is it, JaMycal Hasty? Am I saying that wrong? JaMycal Hasty? He's a starter this week.
He is the starter this week, but I really just don't know how good he is. I don't think he's gonna have a great game against Green Bay this week. I think McKinnon is actually probably gonna have a better week.
Really? Interesting. Okay. Well, game's already started. Otherwise, I'd probably take that bet. But you don't see the CMC coming through for Blaze?
I was just gonna say, I think I don't know how much CMC is gonna be playing. If he's gonna be limited at all. I definitely don't think he's gonna be playing as many snaps as he was in the beginning of the season. I don't think he'll play like that for the rest of the year unless they have a chance to make the playoffs. I just can't see them giving him that much of a workload when they don't have a playoff hope.
Okay.
We'll see. I like Keenan Allen a lot this week, though.
Yeah.
I will say that.
Yeah. I'm taking Blaze in this matchup.
I'm going to take Drew this week.
Wow. Okay. All right. It's like that. Well,
I really like Leonard Fournette. I think he's going to start to be the premier back on Tampa Bay.
Yeah, he might be. He really might be. He's been picking it up.
Yeah.
Well, we come to what you and I will consider the marquee matchup of the night. As we take a peek here, I have to at least pause because just recently Aaron Rodgers just threw a touchdown to Devontae Adams. So there is that.
Yeah, that was it was a really nice touchdown to him.
It was. We got vaccinated from losing myself versus won't let you down, Miss Jackson. Mace, that's you. Currently, for whatever reason, I'm slated to be above you for 4 points, 4.5 points or so. You're the guest. Why don't you start it off? What you thinking?
All right. Well, I'll start off with my team. I think this is the week that Lamar Jackson really has a breakout week. The Colts defense, I think, is a little bit overrated right now. And I think with Lamar's running, I think he's going to run a lot this week. And I think that's where the Colts are really going to be hurt. So I think he's going to have a big game. And I'm thinking that's going to propel me for that win.
You talking like 4 touchdowns big? What are you talking?
I'm thinking he's going to have 3 or 4 touchdowns.
Okay.
I love Juju's matchup against Dallas. He's been getting a lot more targets lately, which is definitely nice for me to see after I drafted him so high. We're just waiting for the touchdowns to come in, which they'll come. Obviously, Alvin Kamara is going to do his thing. A lot of people are saying, with Michael Thomas coming back, that could hurt him, but I think that's actually going to help his touchdown production. So we'll see about that. Either way, I think he's gonna have a big game. And watch out for Henry Ruggs this week.
Okay. Yeah, should be a lot of points in that Raiders Chargers game. Yeah. Well, I know you're worried about the assault of running backs that I'm going to put out there against you. I was able to pick up Mr. Jordan Howard today. I don't know if I'm gonna start him, but it is under consideration, considering he will be the starter, given the fact that Gaskin is now on IR and Breida is out for the week. But let's put it this way: if Calvin Ridley plays, we got ourselves a matchup. If Calvin Ridley does not play, you're going to take this one. So I'm just going to assume that Calvin Ridley plays for the analysis. But the wide receiver core that I have is running on fumes. It really is. Had a COVID hit. Tried to pick up the backup there for San Francisco. We'll see if that cat can do anything tonight. Probably not. But, I got with Rager and Robert Woods on bye, you may have caught me on a decent week. But, it's all going to depend on what my run game does. And Herbert needs 3 touchdowns. I've had worse matchups, and I love my defense. Minnesota is playing Detroit, and Detroit does not have Matt Stafford because of COVID. So I'm feeling pretty confident with that matchup. I'm pretty sure I know who you're going to take, Mace. Who do you think is going to win?
I'm gonna have to give it to Won't Let You Down, Miss Jackson this week.
Well, I'm going to take myself as well with the vaccinated from losing.
You forgot to talk about the return of Antonio Brown.
I was hoping we were going to not talk about it because we're not yet sure if he's going to get arrested before Sunday night. But I got to have a feeling that he's going to get a touchdown. They're going to start targeting him. I don't see why Brady wouldn't. So I do think he will score.
I agree. I definitely agree.
Yeah. So, well, Mace, I appreciate the time, my man. It is always appreciated, and good luck to everyone, but Mason.
I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely, man. See you guys.